Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Raw Radiant Health, and I'm Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me. So today I'm going to talk about moods. I got an email from She's Got Pretty Eyes on YouTube. That's a great YouTube name, and she's asking me about mood and mood having to do with raw foods, especially dealing with moods that can go up and down, and as we all know, our moods can go up and down either in a day, or we can have one day that we feel like fantastic and the next day we're in the dirt. So this happens to a lot of us, to myself included. I have to say that I don't know if you guys know this, but I got into raw foods specifically because of my mood. I've dealt with depression my entire life. Even when I was like a little sweet little girl, I was always depressed. And it's what I called my little black cloud that followed me everywhere. And and there's, it was just something that I had to deal with over the years, and I've dealt with it for many years, but it's something that over time actually kind of got worse. And for me, that's why I went on to raw foods, and that's why I was recommended by a naturopath to actually go on to raw foods, specifically because I was so depressed, and it was kind of like we tried everything, and myself, I've tried everything for depression and for my moods, everything from acupuncture, hypnosis, positive thinking, clean diet, like everything, and nothing quite worked like being on raw foods. But what I'm going to talk about today is not only about how raw foods affects our mood, but also what to watch out for when you first get into raw foods, because a lot of people get into raw foods and just cleaner eating, and they start detoxing. And one of the side effects of it is it affects our mood, because when you're eating a lot of highly processed food for a long period of time, especially food with a lot of sugar, like that for me was my big problem, especially when I left home in my teens and in my 20s, when I was making food for myself and becoming more and more addicted to sugar and to stimulants like coffee and caffeine and things like that it started really messing with my brain chemistry, and I would go up and I'd go down, and really like high up and then high down. And especially because that's what sugar does, it spikes your blood. And then I also became addicted to it because I kept wanting to bring up my blood sugar. And so I just eat more and more sugar, and then I would go higher and higher, and then lower and lower. And that's no fun. It's like being on a roller coaster ride. But you become addicted to it, and your body chemistry starts adapting to it as well. So when you get onto raw foods and you get onto just even having a more whole food diet, and especially when you start eliminating the sugar from your diet, even if you don't eliminate it completely, but you even just cut it in half, you will notice how much it affects your moods. And that's why a lot of times people cannot get off of sugar. And that's why people are also addicted to things like alcohol. Alcohol itself is a sugar addiction. People don't realize that what is alcohol? It's sugar. And someone that's drinking a lot of alcohol is getting a crazy amount of sugar into their body. And what's interesting to see a lot of times people that are addicted to alcohol, they might not eat that much sugary food because they're getting so much sugar from the alcohol, which is interesting to see, because I've noticed that a lot, that a lot of people that have alcohol addictions, they don't have a sweet tooth, and and then they think, oh well, I'm not getting much sugar, but they don't realize like the amount of sugar that they're getting from alcohol is like way worse than what they're getting from other foods, and how easily absorbable that sugar is from the alcohol as well. So, but I don't want to get sidetracked here, but the whole thing is that sugar is very, very addicting, and sugar plays a major role in our moods, and it affects us when we eat it, and it affects us when we're having a withdrawal from it, and our body's crying out for that sugar to bring our sugar level back up. And so it's a vicious cycle. And it affects your mood. It makes you depressed. It gives you mood swings. It makes you irritable. It makes you angry. It makes you foggy. It really affects people's frame of mind and their alertness and just everything. And to the extreme, it can make people quite anxious and paranoid. It contributes to that, and over time that can get worse and worse, that people become a little bit delusional. And I see that more and more, that's becoming more and more prevalent. I've noticed over time when people have a serious sugar addiction where everything that they're consuming has sugar in it, it really does affect just their overall perception of reality, pretty much. And that's almost like things being almost like a mind-altering drug, pretty much. And so the whole thing is that when you get on to eating raw foods and whole foods and foods that have not been tampered with and have no sugar in it, you are going to go through a sugar withdrawal. And you might feel on edge, you might feel angry, you might be very short with people. But that is all right, because that's a transition period. It's a few days, and it's like getting off of any other drug. It's like getting off of nicotine or caffeine or any other substance, is that you might not be like yourself, but it doesn't last forever. Okay, so I'm right now just telling you, go for it. As uncomfortable as you might feel getting off of sugar, in the long run, life will be much better, because in the beginning you might be up and down, and then suddenly you will find a middle. And then after that, your whole perception of your reality changes. You're no longer stimulated by outside forces, and you start seeing things for what they are, and you become much more calmer, much more patient, much more gentler, and just your whole interaction with your life is a lot better without these stimulants. And I also just want to mention too that raw foods is fantastic for moods. If anyone suffers from depression or anxiety or even any kind of mental illness, raw foods are incredible. It is known that schizophrenia is known to be linked to a B vitamin deficiency. And the greatest thing about eating raw foods is that we get an abundance of vitamins and minerals. We start nourishing ourselves and our cells and everything. So you start functioning much better. Your brain starts functioning much better. And therefore, your serotonin levels come up. And the serotonin levels, that's like the chemical in your brain that makes you feel good. And things like raw foods, they have amino acids. And the amino acids, we all know raw foods are full of amino acids. And amino acids like something like tryptophan and all other sorts of amino acids are great for serotonin production. So I suggest to anyone that's dealing with any mood issues, go and buy a juicer and make sure you drink green juice every day. Start small, have maybe a cup of green juice a day, and work your way up to having 2 to 4 cups or even more. But if you have any emotional issues, any mood issues, I swear by green juices. For me, that's like nature's antidepressant. And I just also would recommend having as much green leafy vegetables as possible, because the more amino acids you have, the better. And so that's it. So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with today. So I'm wishing you a fabulous, fabulous day. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye!